soldiers pulled a shell from the magazine and lit the fuse. The length of the fuse determined how long until it would explode. If you calculated the shell's weight and the density of seawater just right, even the Nautilus diving dozens of meters deep could still get caught in the blast. The crew scrambled to repair all the damage. Since we'd escaped in such a hurry, we didn't have any torpedoes or other deep-sea weapons on board, so our only option was to evade. The warship's commander refused to give up. He ordered the soldiers to use the longest fuses they had and drop another bomb. Everyone on the sub held their breath. One direct hit and it would be game over for ship and crew. The bomb detonated less than 5 meters away. We all broke into relieved grins, happy to still be alive. But before we could celebrate, the warship's sonar operator picked up a strange noise underwater. Something even scarier than the bombs was lurking in the deep. Not long before, turbine damage had sent us plunging toward 500 meters. For the sake of everyone on board, I had to ask Lady Lena for help. She rigged up a makeshift pressurization system. The crew took turns cranking the levers with everything they had, but no matter how hard we tried, the Nautilus wouldn't rise. All the frantic effort just burned through our oxygen even faster. Dizziness and pounding hearts from oxygen deprivation hit everyone. Lena suspected another leak somewhere. Amid the crew's labored breathing, we heard a faint hissing sound. Without hesitation, Lena tore off part of her skirt, soaked it in grease, and wrapped it tightly around the leaking pipe. With my help, we sealed it. With fresh hope, the crew summoned their last bit of strength and finally brought the Nautilus back to the surface. Everyone gulped down the fresh sea air. Even as we celebrated surviving, the crew started having second thoughts. The Nautilus still wasn't fully equipped, and they wanted to return to life on land. Seeing the shoreline wasn't far off, they immediately jumped into the water and swam for it. I watched helplessly as it happened, but guards quickly swarmed the beach. They'd already been tipped off by the East India Company that the Nautilus was full of fugitives, so they commandeered boats and came after us. Lena spotted it too, and immediately turned around to swim back to the sub. That's when I ran into serious trouble. The ship suddenly lost all power. The designer and I checked everywhere, but couldn't find the problem. While we were still scrambling, Lena climbed back aboard. She reached into the wiring and pulled out a single iron wire. Clearly, she'd sabotaged the ship ahead of time to make sure she could escape if needed. Once the crew returned to their stations, the Nautilus began descending again. We'd survived the crisis, but crew morale was still a big issue. I needed to give them a real reason to stay. Just when I was racking my brain, fate handed me an opportunity. A whaling ship had used a decoy to lure in a massive sperm whale. On my command, the Nautilus burst out of the water right in front of the whalers. I stepped onto the deck and leaped toward the mother whale that had been harpooned. The fishermen weren't about to let their catch get away. They grabbed their rifles and opened fire. To my surprise, the Nautilus crew pulled together, keeping the sub at a smart distance, while the sailors returned fire, buying me precious time. As soon as I cut the rope, I grabbed the harpoon and sank into the sea with the whale.
Can you see him?
It wasn't long before I made it back to the Nautilus with the harpoon in hand. The crew's spirits soared. For the first time, they felt the power of working as a team. I took off Lena's gold bracelet and used it to buy the young whale's life. Later I learned it was her father's keepsake. I felt terrible about it and quietly made a mental note to make it right someday. But poking my nose into that situation had alerted the East India Company. They sent their own steel-hulled ship, the Dauntless, to hunt us down. The Dauntless was equipped with the latest underwater listening devices that could amplify sounds from the deep and feed them straight to their instruments. I knew exactly what that meant, so I immediately ordered the engines shut down. We'd just wait them out until they gave up and left. I could keep the crew quiet, but I couldn't control the dog.
Shut that dog up. I have something.
Blackie was baring his teeth at one of the cabins. That's when he spotted a pair of guards' boots sticking out.
Quiet.